Okay. Joshua Sixx here. This is the fantasy booking I was talking about in my latest announcement vlog. And, as the title suggests, I will be booking Bullet Club versus the Shield. Let's get started. Now, not all, but most of the work in reuniting the Shield is already done. Rollins, Reigns, and Ambrose are all on Raw. Also, Reigns and Rollins like to team up quite often, so it's safe to say that the big dog has regained quite a bit of trust for the Kingslayer. There was minor turmoil in their recent match against Samoa Joe and Bray Wyatt, but that stuff happens. And anyway, a few seconds later, Rollins seemed to be okay with Reigns again, and he looked like he was about to jump over the top rope and hit Wyatt before he got locked in the in Joe's submission move. I'm having a brain fart right now. I can't remember the name of it. Sorry about that. Anyway, so the minor turmoil is going to be regarded as just that, nothing more. Now, tricky part of reuniting the Shield is going to be Ambrose. Why would he join back in with his former brethren? Rollins especially. Like, he's so accomplished, and he's got a good solo career where he is right now. So why would he join back with them? This can be done a few ways, before reuniting the club or after, but for this episode, I will be reuniting the Shield before I reunite Balor Club. Anyway, like I said, Dean is going to be tough to get the team up with Rollins. This can be achieved, and for the sake of this booking, it obviously will. Now, the route that makes the most sense is a simple enough answer. Pride. So Anderson and Gallows are out running their mouths about how, like, towards the end of a Raw, they're outrunning their mouths about how the club is the best and yada yada yada. Then cue Dean's music. He comes out from backstage with a mic, a microphone, but he stays on stage. He says something to the effect of, there's no way I'm impersonating him. I'm not even going to try. I'm just going to read what I put. Something to the effect of, boys, I think you're getting ahead of yourselves there. I know a thing or two about being the best team, and you guys ain't it. Obviously, you put Dean's spin on it, something more his style. The dialogue I put is just a rough guideline, and that does apply to any dialogue of any superstar in this booking. Like, you put their spin on it, but this is just, rough guideline. Anyway, now, at this point, Anderson responds, or Gallows, it doesn't really matter, but I put Anderson. He responds something to the effect of, oh yeah, well, where's your team now? Huh? Want to keep running your mouth? And Dean just smiles with, his typical little crazy sarcastic smile. And he starts laughing. And cue Reigns and Rollins. By this time, I'm just going to say that they have formed, they come out together, and they have like a, they just come out together. Nothing, no music, they just walk out. Anyway, rambling aside there, they come out and stand beside Dean, one on each side. So, like, Rollins here and Reigns over here. So he looks at Reigns for a moment, and then looks over for Rollins for much longer. like, staring right into his eyes for a solid 10 seconds or something like that. Something to say that he doesn't 100% trust Rollins, but he's willing to work with him, whatever. So after their little stare down between Dean and Seth, Dean looks at the club. He smiles and he says, "Looks like my brothers are ready to fight for me. Seems like you guys are a man short now. Crazy Irish guy about yay tall. Where's he at? Or that other guy with the soccer mom hairdo. Where's he?" Something to that effect. They don't get a response from the club. The club just looks up at the Shield in anger, and then that's the end of the show. The camera fades out and gives the standard like outro stuff at the bottom of the screen. Anyways, over the next few shows, the club are trying to get like the next 3 or 4 shows. The club, they're trying to get Balor they're trying to get Balor on their side. They need Balor because obviously AJ is on SmackDown. And finally, at the end of June, after like 4 shows or something, about 4 shows there are in June, roughly. Balor finally turns heel, and he joins them. God, I would love Balor heel turn. Anyway, the Fully United Balor Club, as they're now called, they're no longer going by Bullet Club. Balor specifically wants Balor Club. Anyway, they try to do attacks as, basically it's like a, like how heel factions usually do, cheap shots, sneak attacks, and whatnot. They tried to do this, but the Shield's music hits, like that classic vintage, Shield music, and they run off. Balor Club runs off, into the crowd or just off stage. Off stage would make, up the ramp and out would make more sense. The Shield never actually comes out. Just their music plays and scares off the club. Now, I hate this. I hate the name of this pay-per-view, but it is the first pay-per-view in July, and there's only one Raw before the pay-per-view for Raw in July, so I didn't really have a choice here. Anyway, on Great Balls of Fire, hang on a second. Why that name? Anyway, on Great Balls of Fire, the club decides, Balor Club decides to run their mouths again. Towards the beginning of the show this time. Like, right at the beginning, like the kickoff show even. Or right after the kickoff show. It doesn't really matter, but anyway, they're saying how the Shield never actually showed their faces and how they're cowards and blah blah blah. Typical heel running their mouth. And now cue the Shield music, cue the lights dimming, and cue the spotlights in the crowd searching for them. And the spotlights settle on 3 familiar figures walking down the steps in their vintage like tactical Shield uniforms. They get down the steps, they jump the barricade, surround the ring like they normally do. One on each side, except for the side that leads to the ramp, to get out, to get up to the stage. They get up on the apron, and then there's a stare down. Rollins is staring at Anderson. Like, the Balor Club's back to back in the middle of the ring. Rollins is on the side where Anderson is. Reigns is on Gallows, and Ambrose is staring at Balor, And the Shield puts their hands on the ropes and gets ready, and gets into the ring. Balor Club and gets out of there as fast as they can. Like they get the hell out of there, for their own well-being. They get out of there. Anyway, they look back once they're on the stage, like by the Titantron. So they turn around. The Shield members are still locked onto their respective targets. Ambrose with Balor, Rollins with Anderson, and Reigns with Gallows. They're still locked onto their respective targets. And Ambrose, who's in the middle, he brings his hand up. He brings his fist up. Then Reigns, who's on his right, which would mean Gallows would be on Finn's left. Anyway, he brings his hand up. Then Rollins brings his hand up. And that the vintage Shield thing they do with their fists. And then cue a commercial break. The hour-long commercial breaks that WWE likes to have. And that was just a little knock. I'm just joking. Their commercials are actually pretty decent. Anyway, the camera cuts back in on Kurt Angle and Stephanie McMahon. They're standing in the ring, and Kurt or Stephanie, doesn't really matter. They announced that the main event will now be the Shield versus Balor Club. And any previous selection for the main event, we all know this was planned. It was planned out that this was going to be the main event, but they had advertised that one thing was going to be the main event, except now everything got pushed back, basically. Even though they knew that this was, obviously, they knew this was going to happen. Because obviously they planned it, Anyway, now that the GM BS is out of the way, the match is booked. Okay. And as for the actual match, me personally, I'd have the Shield win. But in this video, I'm not going to say either way. Because for now, my job's done. And for this match, I'm just going to let myself sit back and go back to the time when I didn't know everything in WWE is pre-planned and just watched one of the most amazing matches between two of the best factions that WWE will ever see in its history. Anyway, like I said, my job is done here. I'd love to know your thoughts, though. If you'd like my ideas, then smash that like button for me. I worked pretty hard on this booking. I have to admit, it would make more sense for these teams to square off at Survivor Series, and if a Balor Club reunion were to happen and a Shield reunion were to happen, it would more than likely be towards November with Survivor Series, but I wanted to go with the current timeline, which is, Great Balls of Fire. First we had the Universal title, and now we have Great Balls of Fire. Anyway, that's it for now. Again, everything I say about the WWE is just me joking around, pointing out some little stupid things, but honestly, I love them. You can't beat them, so. Anyway, they definitely have competition, but you cannot beat WWE. You just can't. Not with their numbers, not with, how long they've been around with no, like how loyal their fan base is and all that. Myself included. Anyway, Joshua Sixx, signing off. Peace.